From onboarding new hires to running payroll to managing insurance and employee benefits, human resources can get really overwhelming really quickly. As a busy business owner, we know you don't have time to sort through it all.
That's where we come in. As the team behind Core Business Resources, a niche HR consulting firm, we have over 50 years of combined experience with helping business owners and managers navigate all things HR.
And don't worry, our podcast will be way more fun than reading an HR handbook.
Which you need, by the way.
On this podcast, we'll answer questions about all things HR, like, is my business too small to offer insurance to my team?
Or is it time to bring my staff back into the office?
Or do I really have to worry about diversity?
I'm Aaliyah, the CEO and founder of Core Business Resources, or CBR HR.
I'm Megan, lead HR consultant for CBR.
And I'm Liz, CBR's HR and Insurance and Benefits Specialist.
And together, we're your human resource.
So today I have a really fun and interactive topic that definitely comes up all the time in HR, which is, can I fire this employee?
All the time.
Yes. So we're going to play a game today where I'm going to present to both of you a termination scenario. I'll give you the background leading up to the termination, and you have to either say thumbs up, you can fire this employee.
Okay.
Thumbs down, we should not fire this employee, or maybe, because sometimes it's a maybe.
Often it's me.
Often it's yeah. Then after each scenario, we'll look at our answers, especially if you come up with different answers. We'll talk about why that is. I think a lot of employers falsely believe that termination situations are always an A plus B equals C scenario, where there's really no room for a difference of opinion, but there can be. Beyond just the laws and regulations that we absolutely have to follow, it does tie into the business's appetite for risk and how they really end up responding. Before we get started, I would like to give credit to the Society of Human Resource Management, or SHRM webcast series, where I saw a very informative webinar on this topic, and it inspired me, and I thought, hey, we should do something like that, and we'll give it a good human resources flair, which means we're going to have to tie a song lyric to that.
Absolutely.
And today's song lyric is NSYNC's Bye, Bye, Bye.
Bye, bye.
That is right. And we've all been in that termination situation where maybe that song was playing for a very difficult termination situation that we might be going through. Before we get into the game portion of our podcast, let's do some education. Our first education topic that we're going to talk about is at-will employment. Aaliyah, could you give our listeners a little overview of what at-will employment means?
Sure, this comes up all the time. So we'll use the Society of Human Resource Management's definition. Employment at will is a legal doctrine which states that an employment relationship may be terminated by the employer or employee at any time for any reason or no reason, as long as no laws are violated. Some form of employment at will is recognized in all states except Montana, by the way, and can be nullified by an express or implied employment contract. At will is used in handbooks, offer letters, and other company communication, and you often see something like, this does not change the at-will nature of the job. I mean, it's a big core tenet of the employee-employer relationship in the United States. I think it's also interesting because most employers feel like, why can't I just fire this employee that I am just tired of dealing with? Why do we even have to have a conversation? It's an at-will state. We hear that complaint a lot, and I think it's important for us to talk about it and what the effects of recognizing that, you can terminate someone, but there might be some cost to that.
Yeah, absolutely. The second educational topic that we're going to go over is unemployment claims. There's a lot of misunderstanding about firing or not firing employees based on the fear that employers have that they're going to have to pay unemployment claims. Liz, could you give us some insight on that?
Of course. Many employers incorrectly believe that if they fire an employee for any reason, the employee could apply for and be awarded unemployment pay. Typically, if an employee is fired for a cause, which means a legitimate and well-documented cause, I might add, they will likely not qualify for unemployment. Also, if the employee quits their job, they likely will not qualify. This is why it is super important to have good documentation of behavior or performance concerns so you can easily reply to unemployment claims. The employer has a higher chance of not having to pay if they can show that you have warned the employee, gave them an opportunity to fix the issue, and then if they did not improve, you can terminate them. Additionally, business owners should apply for online access to their unemployment office so they can easily respond to unemployment claims quickly.
All right, let's get into our game.
Okay,
Yay.
I'm ready.
So, as
Ready.
a reminder, Liz and Aaliyah, you'll hear me give the background of the termination situation. I'll
Okay.
give you a second to think about it, and then you respond with thumbs up, thumbs down, or maybe.
Okay.
I feel like
We
I'm
can
in
do
a
this.
gladiator arena.
Oh, whoa.
But,
Okay.
bring the lions in.
Hold
No, I'm
on.
just kidding.
Okay, well,
Here we go.
yeah. All right. So, scenario 1. A manager comes to you and they are so mad. They've had it up to here with an employee that's arriving late to work. It's causing stress on the business. And the manager wants to fire this employee today, because they can't keep this up. You ask them if the employee's been warned about this behavior, if there's any documentation, and the manager very angrily tells you, no, I did not think I needed to document something where someone's just meeting the bare minimum.
Heard that before.
Yeah. What do you do there? Okay, 2 thumbs down. All right, thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Thumbs down. I listen. Can you fire someone, and should you fire someone? Very different things to consider.
True.
I think the issue there is the lack of documentation.
Yeah.
Is why I would hesitate firing the person, instead figuring out how to counsel them about the concerns that that manager has about their attendance. That's what I think.
Yeah.
All right, scenario 2.
Okay.
You have an underperforming employee who's having a lot of issues delivering error-free work. Just last week, this employee delivered a sales presentation to a client that had the wrong client name on it,
Oof.
and you almost lost the account. Based on this, you're ready to fire this employee. However, they recently disclosed to you that they're newly pregnant and they're suffering from debilitating morning sickness. What do you do?
That's
Sideways.
Maybe. Okay, I got two maybes.
Wait.
Okay.
We need a little more information. What your paragraph or that scenario doesn't speak to is, have we talked to this employee? Is there anything documented in their file? That's always going to be our question. So I think that we just need a bit more information before we can kind of speak to that. But I do think that would be the next step, is if there is no documentation and we haven't talked to this employee, I think it's time to sit down and counsel them.
Absolutely. That's a true maybe situation. You don't have all the facts. So
Right.
you really can't make a decision on that.
Yes.
All right. Scenario number 3.
Okay.
Your company has assistant managers in each of the departments. Due to budget constraints, the company has decided to restructure and they no longer want to have assistant managers in any of the departments. As such, they want to lay off all the assistant managers.
Okay.
But one of your departmental managers recently disclosed to you that they have a disability. Can you lay off this employee? Okay.
You can lay off all of those,
Yes.
and you can follow your plan to get rid of that middle management, which would include that employee. So as long as you are going to
Follow
terminate
through.
all of them or lay them all off, then you can fire that one particular middle manager that shared that they had the disability. But, as with anything, it sounds like that's going to be, you need a plan. You don't want to walk in on a Monday at 8 a.m. and terminate everybody at 10. There should be a plan. Your management team and your HR team should work together on that. People should be aware that this is happening. Let's see if severance is even possible to incorporate. If there's a budget constraint for the business, then you can make those types of decisions in your business.
I think a lot of people hear the sort of buzzword of disability and they think, oh gosh, I can't fire someone because disability is one of the protected classes. We know we have to be more mindful when we're in that situation. But in this case, not firing them would be considered treating them differently, which we absolutely don't want to do. So it's definitely a time to pause.
Sure.
But ultimately, yeah, it's a thumbs up situation.
Yep.
All right, last scenario.
Okay.
You suspect one of your employees has been showing up under the influence of alcohol. You're basing this on changes in their behavior and their appearance.
Okay.
However, they're still managing to get their job done every day. Can you fire this employee?
No.
Thumbs
Okay.
down,
Two
thumbs
thumbs
down.
down. Okay. Why not?
We don't know enough. We don't have any objective
Proof,
reason
right.
to think that this person is under the influence. Change in behavior doesn't necessarily mean that they're under the influence. Have you, smelled something that smells like, alcohol, if that's what the particular substance is? Is there any objective reasoning for you to think that they're under the influence?
Witnesses who saw them drinking
You walk
or-
by, their car has an open bottle of liquor, something. And without that, it's just reason to continue to watch that employee, but there could be a lot of reasons why.
For example, they
different-
could be a change in medication,
Mhm.
and that could affect their behavior, or they may be going through a personal issue
Sure.
as well,
Sure.
and that's
Yeah.
affecting their behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. This is that moment to have your human resource person reach out to them because you
Mhm.
are noticing something.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you do need to sit down with that employee, and that's a good opportunity. But no, I would
Just check
agree.
in.
You cannot fire them because
Mhm.
of something that you believe, but you don't actually know.
Totally agree.
Well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed this podcast and learned something about terminations and the fact that they're not that straightforward, as you would think. You always need to have good documentation.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make sure you're treating everyone equally when you're terminating, and your termination should never be a surprise.
That's exactly right.
Well, please connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Core Business Resources. And please look for our next podcast, which is titled Every Day I'm Hustling,
Ooh, okay.
which is about the value of the outsourced HR business model.
Thank you so much for listening to Your Human Resource. If you need more hands-on support from our team, visit cbrhr.com and fill out our contact form. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. We'll see you in the next episode.